Tips to improve your English pronunciation. Pause the video to repeat phrases or words. Record your voice and compare it with the video. Actively listen, identifying familiar words or phrases. I started my morning in Central Park with a coffee in my hand and a big smile on my face. It was my vacation, and I felt excited because I had always wanted to explore New York. The trees, the paths, the people running, and the street musicians made everything feel alive. I walked slowly at first, looking around and taking pictures like a happy tourist. In that moment, the city felt huge, beautiful, and full of possibilities for me. Even with all that excitement, I still felt insecure about speaking English with strangers. I could understand many signs, like exit, bike path, and keep right, without much trouble. I also understood parts of conversations when people passed by me on the path. But when I imagined myself asking a question, I started thinking too much and got nervous. I worried about my accent, my grammar, and the chance of saying something wrong. As I walked deeper into the park, I tried to practice in my head to feel more ready. I repeated simple phrases like "Excuse me," "Can you help me," and "Which way is?" The phrases were not hard, but my mind still wanted to translate everything first. That habit made me slow, and I knew real conversations in the city would move fast. I told myself I needed to trust simple English and stop chasing perfect sentences. After a while, I sat on a bench near a map and watched people move in every direction. Some tourists looked confused, some locals walked fast, and everyone seemed to know where to go. I looked at my own plan for the day and realized I wanted to cross the city later. To do that, I would need directions for streets, subway lines, and maybe a bus too. At that point, I understood I could not enjoy the day if I stayed afraid to speak. So I made a small promise to myself before standing up and continuing my walk. I would ask for help when I needed it, even if my English was not perfect yet. I would use short sentences, listen carefully, and ask people to repeat if needed. Central Park was beautiful, but I knew the real adventure would begin when I spoke. And as I left the bench and followed the path, I felt ready to try. I left the bench feeling confident, but a few minutes later I realized I was not on the path I wanted. I was trying to leave Central Park and go to another part of the city, but the paths looked similar. I saw trees, benches, and people everywhere, but I could not find the exit I needed. I checked my phone map, turned in a circle, and felt that old nervous feeling return. For a moment, I laughed at myself because I was lost in a famous park on vacation. I knew this was the moment to do what I promised, ask someone for help in English. I saw a woman walking her dog and said, "Excuse me, can you help me, please?" She stopped and smiled, which made me feel a little calmer right away. I asked, "How can I go to the subway?" and pointed at my phone screen. My voice was not strong, but the question came out clearly, and that already felt like progress. She answered kindly, but she spoke fast, and I only understood parts of the directions. I heard left, street, and station, so I thanked her and started walking quickly. After 2 minutes, I noticed something felt wrong, because the signs did not match my map. Then I realized the light climax of the moment. I had understood one direction wrong. I almost walked to the opposite side of the park, which would waste a lot of time. Instead of panicking, I stopped and decided to fix the problem the right way. I went back, found the same woman, and said, "Sorry, can you repeat, please?" This time I listened more carefully and asked, "Which street?" to confirm the name. She slowed down and said, "West 72nd Street, then go right to the station." I repeated it back to her, and she nodded, so I knew I finally understood. As I walked again, I kept the words in my head like a simple guide: West 72nd, then right. I looked at the signs, matched the street name, and felt my body relax with each step. I was still a little nervous, but now I felt smarter because I asked better questions. Using "Can you repeat, please?" and "Which street?" helped me more than guessing ever could. By the time I reached the correct exit, I felt proud, because my English had already saved my route. After I found the right exit, I stepped onto the street and felt the city move around me fast. Cars, buses, bikes, and people filled the sidewalks, and everything seemed louder than the park. I checked my phone, but the route changed because of traffic, and I needed a subway transfer. That meant I had to keep asking questions on the way, not just once, and stay focused. Instead of fear, I felt a new kind of energy, like I was ready to test myself. At the subway entrance, I asked a man in a suit, "Which line goes downtown?" He answered quickly, but this time I caught the important words: "Take the C train." I repeated, "C train, downtown, right?" and he said, yes, without slowing much. I noticed something new. I did not translate the sentence in my head before speaking. The words came out fast, and my question sounded natural enough to get help. Inside the station, I needed to find the correct platform, so I asked another person. I said, "Excuse me, where is the C train platform?" and pointed to the sign map. She said, "Downstairs, left, then follow the blue signs," and I understood almost all of it. I answered, "Downstairs, left, blue signs, thank you," and started moving right away. Each short conversation made me faster, and my confidence grew with every correct step. Later, after I left the subway, I needed a bus to reach the next neighborhood. At the bus stop, I asked, "Does this bus go to Midtown?" and showed my phone. A student near me said, "No, the next one does," and then added which corner I should use. I thanked him, crossed the street, and asked a shop worker, "This bus stop for Midtown?" He smiled and said yes, and I realized I was solving real problems in English, one by one. By the middle of the trip, something important changed inside me without a big dramatic moment. I was asking, understanding, confirming, and thanking people almost automatically, with less fear. I still made small mistakes, but I did not stop or panic, because communication kept working. It felt like my English was finally functioning in the real world, not only in study exercises. As I waited for the bus, I smiled, because I knew I had crossed more than streets that day. I arrived in a very busy part of the city just when the afternoon rush was starting. The sidewalks were full, car horns were loud, and people were talking all around me at the same time. I checked my phone and saw a delay on my route, which meant I needed to change bus lines quickly. For a second, the noise and the speed of everything made my chest feel tight again. I knew this was the kind of moment that used to make me freeze and stop speaking. I went to a crowded bus stop and asked a man, "How can I get to Lexington Avenue?" He answered fast and pointed in two directions, and I only caught uptown and corner. My old habit returned for a moment, and I almost started translating every word in my head. I felt the panic rising, but then I remembered what had worked all day: short, clear questions. So I took a breath and asked, "Can you repeat, please?" with a steady voice. He repeated more slowly, and this time I understood much more of the direction. Still, one part was not clear, so I asked, "Which corner?" and pointed left and right. He smiled, pointed to the next block, and said, "Second corner, then bus uptown." I repeated, "Second corner, uptown bus, right?" and he nodded before crossing the street. That small confirmation helped me move without guessing, and my body relaxed again. At the next corner, 2 buses arrived almost together, and I had to choose fast. I asked the driver of the first one, Lexington Avenue, and he said, "No, next bus." When the second bus stopped, I asked again, and this time the driver said, "Yes, get on." I answered, "Thank you," and got on quickly, feeling proud that my words came naturally. There was no panic now, only attention, because I trusted my English in real time. As the bus moved, I looked out the window and thought about how different I felt. The city was still noisy, busy, and confusing, but I was not lost inside my own head anymore. I had almost frozen, but breathing and asking clear questions kept me moving forward. My English was not perfect, yet my answers sounded natural enough to help me continue. For the first time, I felt I could handle the city without fear, one question at a time. On the bus, I looked at the map on my phone and noticed I was finally close to my destination. I still needed one more stop and a short walk, so I stayed alert and watched the street signs. A woman next to me asked if this bus stopped near a museum, and I answered without thinking much. I said, "Yes, I think so, but I can check the map," and she smiled and thanked me. After she got off, I realized something surprising. I had just spoken naturally in English. That moment stayed in my mind while I left the bus and walked toward the next corner. I stopped a worker near a food cart and asked, "Excuse me, is this the right way to Lexington Avenue?" He answered quickly, and I understood him the first time. Then I said, "So I go straight and turn right?" He nodded, and I replied, "Great, thank you," like it was the most normal thing in the world. I was asking, understanding, confirming, and thanking people without translating in my head. As I kept walking, I tried to notice what had changed, because it felt different from the morning. Before, I built every sentence slowly inside my mind, first in Spanish, then in English, and that made me late. Now the words were simpler, but they came faster, and they matched the moment I was living. I was not chasing perfect grammar anymore, and that made my speech lighter and more useful. It felt like my English had stopped being a school exercise and started being part of me. A few blocks later, I reached my destination and stood in front of the building with a proud smile. I checked the address twice, then laughed a little because I had crossed the city by asking my way there. I remembered Central Park, the wrong turn, the subway questions, the busy streets, and the bus change. Each conversation had trained me, and each small question made the next one easier and faster. By the end, I was not just arriving at a place, I was arriving at a new version of myself. Before going inside, I looked around at the city and felt grateful for the whole day. I understood that fluency did not arrive in one perfect moment with perfect words and no mistakes. It appeared while I was moving, listening, asking, and living the experience step by step. I still had a lot to learn, but I no longer felt trapped by fear or mental translation. That day, in the middle of New York, I realized I was already becoming fluent by using English for real.